This week in news surrounding Israel, I know, let's blame Israel. Yeah, that's what people are doing. So stay tuned for all the details. Well, shalom, everyone. Welcome once again to this week's newscast. I'm Robert Gottslick, your host. And I'm sure that many of you have already heard that just this past weekend, IDF soldiers operating in Rafah retrieved the remains of 6 murdered captives held by Hamas terrorists. World Israel News reported this. They said that on Sunday, IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said that the 6 captives appeared to have been executed by their captors a short time before they were located by Israeli soldiers. They further went on to report that the remains of the 6 hostages were returned to Israel at approximately 4 a.m. Sunday and were immediately brought for forensic testing and identification. The examinations revealed, according to the report, that the 6 hostages had been shot in the head sometime within the prior 48 hours. The remains of the 6 captives were found without the benefit of intelligence information when a unit of IDF soldiers were traversing a tunnel under Rafah. Tragic, friends. And I know that we at the Friends of Israel here, our hearts and our prayers are out for the family of their loved ones that perished, that were murdered by Hamas terrorists. Very tragic. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday said that he was sorry that he was unable to bring the 6 hostages home alive and asked for forgiveness. And is the world sympathetic to him? No, they are more sympathetic to Hamas, the terrorists. And they blame Benjamin Netanyahu, not the demonic maniacs, because in their eyes, this happened because of his failure to secure a ceasefire for hostage deal. You've got to be kidding me. And Joe Biden, when asked if Bibi is doing enough, cold-heartedly said no. Friends, to let Hamas live to fight another day is the most vile, disgusting, non-sympathetic, unloving thing that anyone could ever ask of Israel. They didn't start this war. Hamas did. And for the past almost 20 years, Hamas has squandered and stole billions of dollars of foreign money to make their leaders rich and build hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of network tunnels under Gaza. And they built them under homes, under mosques and schools, and under UNRWA facilities, all with one intent: to destroy the Jewish state. Come on, Joe. Come on, you, the media. Come on, you, the left. Wake up and stand with Israel and give Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the backing he needs to finish the job and eliminate Hamas. Friends, they've done nothing to help the people in Gaza. They could have built a beautiful tourist destination. They could have created countless jobs, good paying jobs. They could have built beautiful infrastructure to help the people, to give the people a future. Instead, they created the largest terror battleground on the planet. And to top that off, and then they use their own people as human shields. And the world blames the Israeli prime minister? Has the world forgotten what took place on October 7th? Have they forgotten that it was Hamas who brutally murdered the 6 hostages? Even a lot of the media simply said that they died. No, they didn't just simply die. They were brutally murdered by a demonic death cult called Hamas. Plain and simple. And then to make matters worse, in Israel, over the past couple days, progressive left-minded Israelis resumed protests against Netanyahu, as if it's all on him, that he is the one preventing an end to the war and a return of the hostages. Look, if you want an end to the war, very simple. Surrender Hamas and return the remaining hostages. It's that simple. The war would be over. But that's not happening, is it? No. Instead, they just want to blame Bibi. And I say, you know what? Pinch me. I must be in a bad dream or something. How can people be so foolish, so ignorant? Blame Hamas. Blame Hezbollah. Blame the Houthis. Blame Iran. Blame all the anti-Semites. But stand with your prime minister, for goodness sakes. He's trying to prevent another October 7th from ever happening again. But you know, friends, that none of this catches God by surprise. And one day when Israel's Messiah, Yeshua, returns, he will end anti-Semitism. He will put an end to the Israel haters and to those who wish to destroy his chosen people. Yes, he will put an end to all of that. And he will rule this world with a rod of iron from Jerusalem on the throne of his father David. Let me read to you a portion of Zechariah chapter 14 of that yet future day that is coming. This is what we read in verse 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone who is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Oh, here is the preeminent shift from the Gentiles to the Jewish people, as they are going to be commanded to come up to the Feast of Tabernacles. Verse 17, and it shall be that whichever of the families of the earth do not come up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, on them there will be no rain. If the family of Egypt will not come up and enter in, they shall have no rain. They shall receive the plague with which the Lord strikes the nations who do not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all the nations that do not come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day, holiness to the Lord shall be engraved on the bells of the horses. The pots in the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yes, every pot in Jerusalem and Judah shall be holiness to the Lord of hosts. Everyone who sacrifices shall come and take them and cook in them. In that day there shall no longer be a Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. Friends, he's going to fix this mess one day that the world has created and is creating today. But until then, let's continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem and pray for the families of the hostages and of those that died since October 7th. Let's continue to pray for Israel's leaders to be wise, for the remaining hostages to be rescued or returned, for Hamas to ultimately be destroyed, and for the Palestinians to finally choose life over death and extend their hand in cooperation to Israel to say, let's make peace. And most importantly, let's pray for people to turn to the only God, to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, while they still have breath. And with that, and until next time, thanks for joining us on another episode of In News Surrounding Israel. God bless.